Hi everyone, welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles channel. My name is Erin and I've got a tutorial for you today. So we're going to be making a border for one of the knit washcloths that I showed previously on this channel. So you can check those out on one of the playlists. But this is a knit I-cord border and I'm doing it on our Hurdle Stitch washcloth that I did a couple months ago. This is a great way to add a little bit of decoration to an otherwise simple washcloth. So let's grab our materials and get started on the tutorial. For this project, you're going to need an already finished washcloth. This can be knit or crochet, it doesn't really matter. I'm using a knit one. If you'd like to see the tutorial for this Hurdle Stitch, it's on my channel under my easy knitting tutorial, so you can check that out. You're also going to need a color for your I-cord edging. I'm using white for mine. You can use the same color that you did your original piece in if you would like to, but I like doing a contrast color, especially since I'm doing these as a series and I want all of my washcloths to kind of coordinate with a white edge. And you're also going to need some knitting needles. They can be circular needles or double pointed needles or even straight needles. It doesn't really matter for this. For doing I-cords, a lot of people prefer DPNs because of how you can slide the stitches over, but I do mine a little bit differently, so it doesn't matter as much. And then you're also going to need a yarn needle and scissors to weave in your ends when you're done. We're going to start our I-cord edging by casting on 3 stitches. So I'm just doing a slip knot as my first stitch and casting on 2 and then 3. Now this is why some people have a strong preference for double pointed needles, because I could just slide my stitches to the end of the needle to do this next step, but I actually like to pass my stitches back to my left needle in order to do an I-cord. So all I did was pass the stitches to the other side, and now I'm going to knit 3 stitches. This is going to create kind of a tube of stitches instead of a flat piece. So there's the first row of your I-cord. Now we're going to connect it to our piece. Usually you would do this with the wrong side facing you. Since mine is reversible, it doesn't really matter which direction I do. But I'm just going to insert my needle in there and draw up a loop. Whoops. Sometimes it can be a little tight. Draw up a loop so that now I have 4 stitches on my needle and one of them is attached. Now I'm going to pass my stitches back to my left needle or slide them down if you're doing these on DPNs. And then I'm going to knit 1, knit 1 again, and then knit 2 together so that I'm not increasing my number of stitches. Now I'm going to go into the next open spot, wrap my yarn, and pull up a new loop so that I have 4 again. You're going to just keep continuing this process. So once you have your 4 loops, you pass them back to your left-hand needle, knit 1, knit 2, knit 2 together, and then pick up a new stitch. You're going to continue this process down the edge of your washcloth. And one thing that I've kind of noticed in doing this on a couple projects over the years, you totally can count your stitches, be really specific about how many I-cord rows you do per side, stuff like that. But I kind of just find that you can just pick up a new stitch where it makes sense to pick up a new stitch. So if you're noticing that you have too many I-cord stitches and you're starting to get like a ruffly effect, just don't pick up as many. If you realize your I-cord is starting to get really, really tight, then pick up more stitches between rows. Just kind of do what makes sense so that your I-cord looks nice and flush against your piece. And this is why you can do this with knit or crochet washcloths. If you would like a crochet washcloth and a knit border for some contrast, you definitely could, because you're just putting in the stitches where it works. Sometimes with cotton yarn, doing these I-cord edgings can get a little tight on the needles, but that's okay. You're just going to continue like this, and I'll show you what to do when we get to the corner. Once you've made it all the way up one edge, we will be approaching the corner. So to do the corner stitches, they work exactly the same way. So whatever stitch you decide is your corner, I'm going to use this kind of lavender one that's sticking out. You're going to pick up a stitch and complete the row of the I-cord just like normal. So knit one again, knit two together. But then instead of just moving on to the next stitch, we're going to go into the same one so that we have 3 rows of I-cord in the same stitch. And this is just going to help us turn that corner and make everything lay a little bit smoother. You would adjust the number of I-cord stitches in the corner if you had a different angle. So let's say you were doing this on a triangle shawl and some of the corners are really, really acute. You would do more stitches in there to accommodate for that. Versus if you had a very obtuse angle, you would maybe only need to do 2. But for right angles, I have found that 3 seems to work the best. So once you have your 3 I-cord rows, or 3 I-cord rows in that corner, you can continue your I-cord border onto the next side. And you're just going to continue this all the way around your washcloth until you get to the end. Just remembering to do those 3 rows of I-cord into each corner of your washcloth. There you can see we've successfully turned the corner and we're ready to keep going. Once you get to your final corner, you can do a couple things. You can do 3 stitches in a corner stitch if you want, or you can do just 2 in the one that you started in to make a total of 3. But once you get to this point, you're going to go ahead and just cast off your last row of your I-cord stitch. Just do a quick cast off. And cut your yarn. Just like that. Now to weave in the ends, I like to start by kind of stitching the beginning and end of the I-cord together a couple times just to make it a little bit more seamless, but this ends up being a little bit hard to see. So it doesn't matter if it's perfect, but if you want to line up the stitches exactly, you certainly could if you wanted to. I kind of just sew it until there's no clear gap between one end or the other. Once you've gotten to a spot where you have filled the gap, go ahead and do a little bit of a knot to hold it in place. And then you can take your yarn needle and go through the I-cord, because again, it's kind of like a little tube that you made, and just pull your ends through there. Do the same thing with the end that you started with. I like to go in the other direction on the corner for my second end so that they're not going through the same I-cord channel. But this is a really great way to hide ends because you kind of have a built-in tube where you can just weave everything in. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and trim both ends, and there you have your I-cord border. And that's it for our washcloth. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful, whether you're adding it to a washcloth like I showed or adding that I-cord edging to something else. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in seeing more crafty content from me here on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. If you'd like to follow me elsewhere, that information is in the description box. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone!